blowing up in Europe, like Austria, big place. Turkey's in serious trouble. And so the world economy is coming apart. And if that crashes the stock market, that's the pensions.
Yeah, right.
My generation of boomers was 1974 when I came back from Vietnam. I find my poor dad broke, even with a PhD, exactly as Marx predicted the intellectuals would go.
Yeah.
So then in 74, ERISA comes out, which is the 401k. And today, as we speak in 2021, December, 10,000 boomers are retiring every day. And they're dependent upon the stock market. And if the euro-dollar system comes down, what do you think is going to happen to the U.S. stock market?
Yeah, and let's also think this through, because the Fed just came out with an announcement where they're taking the taper or their quantitative easing from 105 billion down to 75, and this is kind of on the path to raising interest rates. But it puts the central planners in a very precarious position, because right now, as most of your viewers know, we've got prices going up significantly in the United States. The CPI says it's 6.8%, but we know it's a lot higher than that. So we've got all this consumer price inflation. Okay, well, if the Fed comes out and increases interest rates, and if that does crash the stock market, that crashes people's 401k, then everyone's going to say, well, Fed save us. Fed save us. Where's the Fed put? Well, then if they come back and say, okay, well, we'll reduce interest rates back down to zero, we'll do quantitative easing again. But well, wait a minute, time out. Because remember, we've got inflation at 6.8%. So if they do that, then inflation most likely goes to 7 to 8 to 9. And that's as measured by the government. So they're in this we all are in this crazy position where either you lose a tremendous amount of purchasing power by the 401ks crashing, or you lose a tremendous amount of purchasing power by the prices of the stuff that the average American buys daily going up by 10, 15, maybe even 20% per year.
Correct. And that happened in 72 also when Nixon moved jobs into China. Do you know what I mean? I was of that generation watching all this stuff happening.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other thing that this book says here is, as you know, it doesn't hurt us.
No, it's
if inflation is in asset prices, like the stock market, real estate, we make fortunes. But the working guy out there working for $50 an hour or whatever they work for today, he just took a haircut. Then he can't afford to live. They do. I didn't see that.
Yeah, so this brings up our good friend Jeff Snyder in a different way.
Right.
I'm a huge fan of his content, and one time I was listening to Jeff, and I've actually had a conversation with him about what the Chinese did when the Berlin Wall came down. Right. When communism came down, let's say in the early 90s, the Chinese actually sent in a group of economists to Russia to study it, to figure out what happened there, because their economies were very similar.
Right.
And so the economists came back to China, and their conclusion was not that communism failed. It's that they just didn't do it right. So how did they do it wrong? Well, they didn't allow capitalism to flourish before they came over and before they came in and tried to take over the means of production. Right. So most people don't realize, but you do, because you've brought up this book, which I think everyone should read to know the enemy, is the fact that Marx really wasn't anti-capitalist to a certain extent. He saw the value in the industrialists and the capitalists of their time, because he knew that they were very good at building stuff. He just thought that late stage capitalism was when they can't extract any more profits, then they'll start to feed on their workers by lowering their wages, and the workers are their customers. Yeah. Therefore, they're shooting themselves in the foot to where the whole society that the capitalists have built will crumble. So it's up to the communists or the socialists maybe to take over the means of production by any means necessary.
Correct.
Or else the capitalists will implode the whole system that they built.
Correct.
Right.
So what he recognized was the flaws, again, in 1848, the flaws in capitalism. So stage one would be socialism, which we had in 1933, FDR puts us on Social Security, got welfare, Obamacare, and we have so many Americans without that government stimmy check. We're finished.
Yeah.
20. I'm not a Republican or Democrat. I'm not endorsing Trump, who's a friend of mine, or Biden. I'm saying communists took over in 2020. And when we were on that call with you and Jeff, you were talking about the Eurodollar system and all this stuff, and the fractional reserve system and bank reserve currency, which is macro. That's where the heist took place. And so what's happening today, I just got it on this here, the European Union is starting to collapse because, as you said, it's not the depression, it's the stop of economic activity.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
I have bad news for you. If you're not rich by now, you're screwed. And if you're in debt, you're even double screwed. How so, you might wonder? Well, the sad truth is that you're working your whole life to make someone else rich. The mega corporations, the banks, the politicians, everyone is getting richer. They get your money. And what is even worse, they get your time, they get your life. You are not even in a rat race. You're in a financial prison. But what could a solution for you look like? Honestly, I don't know, but I know what a solution for me would look like. It's very simple. I use whatever money I have and I multiply it with 1,000. This could make my life much easier and probably yours as well. If you have $1,000 available and multiply this with 1,000, I believe that this could solve some financial issue for the one or the other. Of course, if you're ugly, you would have to multiply it with much more than 1,000. My name is Markus Dahn, and this is what I decided to do. I decided to 1000x my money. This is not a joke. I know what you may be thinking. What is this guy talking about? How should this work? This is not possible. Well, I made a detailed video where I laid out my plan. And some clever folks might even want to look at this plan and copy it and do exactly what I do. This is just a little hint on the side. You have two options. You leave, you forget what you have seen. You do whatever you're doing and you hope that somehow you get some other results. Good luck with that. Or you click the link below the video. You enter your email address because I'm not showing this to everybody. You at least watch my video on how I plan to 1000x my money. The choice is yours. Make the right choice. Join me. See what a different future you could have. See at least how I plan to do the 1000x. So click on the link below, enter your email address, and I see you on the other side. Your Markus Dahn.